Well, the same kind of scenario popping up again in Kogi. Well, Mr. Sebastian Hon, a senior advocate of Nigeria, joins us to give some perspective on this matter. Morning, and thank you for joining us today. Well, yes, we hear the politicians now trading words, saying, well, the group that impeached the speaker saying, well, yes, we rightfully did it following the processes required. But then we hear the speaker saying, look, just look around me. You see those members here, signatures or not, they are with me saying, look, no sitting can even take place on that day. Well, you've just heard this as well. What is the position of the law from your perspective on this matter?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kamale. I think what happened in Kogi State is a flagrant breach of the Constitution of Nigeria. Because even if they claim that more than one-third had signed the notice of allegation, the number that sat to pass the resolution is less than two-thirds of the majority of all the members of the House of Assembly, in accordance with Section 188 of Section 4 of the Constitution. I emphasize the way all the members of the House, because there's not less than two-thirds majority of all the members of the House of Assembly. So the number to look at is the totality of the membership of the House of Assembly, and not the members sitting at a particular time. So the two-thirds will be measured from the totality of the number of the House of Assembly, rather than members sitting at a particular time.
So it doesn't matter whether or not they're able to get signatures and say, look, we've got two-thirds signatures, but then those who sat to impeach him may not be up to those who actually signed those, the signatures collected.
Yes, even if, in fact, the law, it is a two-fourth something, constitutional requirement rather. Because under Section 188 Section 2, the notice of allegation in writing should have been signed by not less than one-third of the members of the House of Assembly. And then it is a continuous process or exercise rolled into one. The latter part of it is that there must be a motion brought on the floor of the Assembly where not less than two-thirds majority of all the members of the House of Assembly would have passed this thing, removing the speaker. Okay, I think I'm mixing it. It's a removal of governor. I'm talking about removal of governor.
Yeah, this is about the removal of the speaker.
Okay, no, removal of the speaker. I'm not talking of removal of governor. Yes, the speaker, the procedure for removal of speaker is not as tedious as that of removal of governor. I think a simple majority can actually speaker, but the procedure for such removal must be as spelled out in the rules of the House, of the particular House. In this case, the removed speaker, apart from the constitutional requirements of removal of the speaker, wants to now enlighten us on the rules regulating speaking and voting as promulgated by the Kogi State House of Assembly.
But as it is now, because sometimes when these impeachments are said to have happened, as in this case, what is the right thing to do? Because if those groups say, look, we have impeached the speaker, and then they present somebody else, and this other group comes up, how are we supposed to, or how is it supposed to be handled? Who should be referred to as, look, from law, remains speaker or is speaker?
Let me get you on that, please.
Who can we then refer to now as the speaker of the Kogi House of Assembly?
Okay, because the two sides are contesting that maybe they are the speakers.
Yes.
It will now fall back to the judiciary for interpretation.
In other words,
yes, go ahead.
Does that then mean that If both of them continue laying claims, we have to wait for judicial interpretation, and activities with the House of Assembly cannot continue.
Well, you see, there's a lacuna in the law, I must say so, because there's no provision for filling in the gap. When there's an intervention by the judiciary, the status quo has to be maintained. The status quo here is the status quo antebellum, that is before the degree of hostilities, in which case the former speaker has to continue sitting and presiding over the affairs of the House until the judiciary determines the issue.
Oh, okay. You say status quo antebellum, not status quo ante.
Yeah, antebellum. Bellum means hostility. Ante means before. So status quo antebellum means status quo before commencement of hostilities.
If I may get you clearly, you say that there's a lacuna in the law, but if you're looking at the Constitution, it seems to be very straightforward because Section 92, subsection C says, is the Speaker or Deputy Speaker of the House of Assembly shall vacate his office if he's removed from office by a resolution of the House of Assembly by the vote of not less than 2/3 majority of the members of the House. What lacuna is there?
No, the lacuna I was referring to was the transition from the purported remover to the new helmsman. Because if you remove and then you occupy, for instance, being backed by by some military or police forces, the so-called removed speaker cannot use raw force as well to come and sit on that seat. Supposing the mess is seized and there is an overthrow, so to speak, of the former speaker, then he cannot force his way back. In that case, the new people will claim to be the legitimate leadership of the House. That is the lacuna I'm referring to.
Can he be deemed to have been removed at all if he was removed improperly?
Can he
be deemed to have been removed at all if he was removed improperly?
No, because the Constitution has spelled out the procedure for his removal. If there's no compliance with that, then he cannot be deemed to have been removed properly, because the word deemed means as if. So if he's not removed properly, that means he is deemed indeed not to have been removed.
And you say
it is the other way around.
You say that can be determined, or that is usually determined by the court.
Yes.
But in this case,
he has to. Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, because if he feels aggrieved, or any member of the Kogi State House of Assembly feels aggrieved, it is for them to rush to the court and then file a suit challenging the purported remover. And once that happens, then the removal is deemed not to have taken place, because the Constitution is not a document we toy with.
Why do they have to be the ones to go to court? I mean, if it's clear for all to see that he was not properly removed, and majority of the members of the House agree that he was not properly removed, why doesn't he just carry on like as if nothing happened?
Well, you see, this is a constitutional democracy. As I told you, the incoming guys may use the force of arms, backed by whatever forces they have lying behind them, to stop him from gaining access into the assembly or gaining access to the mess or the committed seat of the speaker. So in that case, it is only a pronouncement by a court of law that will bring him back, because that is why courts of law are established in the Constitution in any case.
You know, for lawyers like yourself, senior lawyers, you should be concerned about judicial precedents or precedents when things like this do happen. Don't forget that we had seen something like this in Rivers State, where about 5 or so also impeached the speaker. And now we're going to see this again in Kogi State. How can we remedy the situations by moving to the courts now, to the judiciary, so that things like this don't occur in the future?
Well, you see, the Constitution is there, and it ought to be obeyed by every Tom, Dick, and Harry, or every person and institution in this country. Now, Section 287 of the Constitution provides that the decisions of the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, and the High Court are supposed to be obeyed and enforced by all persons in Nigeria. But that is a far cry in terms of the practical application of that section. I want to assure you that it will never stop because, clamor for power is always very high. And people won't bother about looking at the Constitution or abiding by the sacred provisions of the Constitution. So it will not stop, except if in a particular case the court has given an order and anybody flouts it, that person is guilty of contempt. These things happen even in advanced democracies. That is why even in the United States of America, you see matters being tested in court over and over again, even though they are precedent on such matters. Because the political and other gladiators involved do not mind or they willingly forget about such precedents. They go ahead thinking maybe this time around things might be different.